The autumn sun hung low over the mountain highway as Marcus Hayes gripped the steering wheel of his old pickup truck. In the passenger seat, his 9-year-old son Tommy stared out the window, watching the golden leaves dance in the wind. They had been driving for 2 hours, heading home from Tommy's baseball tournament. Marcus worked double shifts at the lumber mill to make ends meet, but moments like these made every sacrifice worthwhile. Suddenly, Marcus saw smoke rising ahead. As they rounded the bend, he spotted a black Mercedes crumpled against the guardrail, flames licking from under the hood. Without hesitation, Marcus pulled over. "Dad, what are you doing?" Tommy asked nervously. "Someone might need help, son. Stay in the truck." Marcus ran toward the wreckage. Through the cracked windshield, he saw a woman slumped against the steering wheel, blood trickling down her face. Her blonde hair was matted with dirt and glass. She looked to be in her early 40s, wearing an expensive blue blouse now torn and stained. He tried the door. Locked. The flames were growing. Marcus grabbed a rock from the roadside and smashed the passenger window. He reached in, unlocked the door, and carefully pulled the unconscious woman from the burning car. He carried her to safety just as the flames engulfed the driver's seat. She was breathing but barely conscious. Marcus used his flannel shirt to stop the bleeding from a gash on her forehead. Tommy had climbed out of the truck despite being told to stay, his eyes wide with concern. "Is she going to be okay, Dad?" "I hope so, buddy. Call 911 on my phone." The woman's eyelids fluttered open. Her green eyes struggled to focus on Marcus's face hovering above her. "You're safe now," he said gently. "Help is coming." She tried to speak, but winced in pain. Marcus noticed her expensive watch, her manicured nails, the designer label on her torn clothing. This was someone important, he could tell. The ambulance arrived within minutes. As the paramedics loaded her onto a stretcher, she reached out and grabbed Marcus's hand with surprising strength. "Thank you," she whispered. "Please, your name." Marcus hesitated. He had never been comfortable with attention or gratitude. That wasn't why he helped people. "Just glad you're all right, ma'am, but I need to know who you are. I need to repay you." The paramedic gently freed her hand from Marcus's grip. "Sir, we need to go now." As they loaded her into the ambulance, she called out, "Please, wait!" But Marcus was already walking back to his truck, his arm around Tommy's shoulders. "Dad, she wanted to know your name," Tommy said. "I know, son, but we did what we had to do. That's enough. But don't you want a reward or something?" Marcus smiled and ruffled his son's hair. "The reward is knowing we helped someone in need. Your grandpa taught me that. Some things you do just because they're right, not because you expect something in return." They drove home in comfortable silence, unaware that the woman Marcus had saved was Victoria Sterling, founder and CEO of Sterling Enterprises, one of the largest technology companies in the world. Her net worth exceeded $3 billion. For the next 3 weeks, Marcus forgot about the incident. Life moved on as it always did. Wake up at 5, make Tommy breakfast, drop him at school, work a 10-hour shift, pick Tommy up from his grandmother's house, make dinner, help with homework, tuck him in and collapse into bed himself. It had been this way for 4 years, ever since Tommy's mother Sarah had passed away from cancer. Some days were harder than others, but Marcus had learned to find joy in the small moments. Tommy's laugh, a good meal, a quiet evening on the porch. One Saturday afternoon, as Marcus was fixing the sagging porch steps, a sleek black SUV pulled into his driveway. A woman in a business suit stepped out, followed by 2 men in dark suits who looked like security guards. But it was the third person who caught Marcus's attention. Victoria Sterling, the woman from the accident, stepped out of the vehicle. The wound on her forehead had healed to a small scar, barely visible beneath her perfectly styled blonde hair. "Mr. Hayes?" she asked, approaching with a warm smile. Marcus set down his hammer and stood, wiping his dusty hands on his jeans. "Can I help you? You already have, more than you know." "I'm Victoria Sterling, and you saved my life." "You're looking well, ma'am." "I'm glad." Victoria laughed, a sound like wind chimes. "It took my team 2 weeks to track you down. You left before the paramedics could get your information. The highway patrol had to review traffic camera footage to identify your truck." Tommy emerged from the house, a baseball mitt in his hand. He stopped short when he saw the visitors. "This must be your son," Victoria said warmly. You raised a brave young man. He called for help while you pulled me from that car. Tommy's a good kid, Marcus said simply. Victoria's expression grew serious. Mr. Hayes, Marcus, I want to thank you properly. I've brought a check for $100,000. The woman in the business suit stepped forward, extending an envelope. Marcus didn't reach for it. I appreciate the gesture, ma'am, but I can't accept that. Victoria's eyebrows rose in surprise. In her world, everyone had a price. Everyone wanted something. I'm sorry, is it not enough? I can make it more. It's not about the amount, Marcus said quietly. I didn't save you for money. I did it because it was the right thing to do, but surely you could use the help. A single father working at the mill, you must have expenses, dreams you've put aside. Marcus glanced at Tommy, then back at Victoria. We manage just fine. We have what we need. For a long moment, Victoria studied this man, who had risked his life for a stranger, and now refused a fortune. In her decades of business, dealing with people who would do anything for money, she had never encountered anyone quite like Marcus Hayes. I understand, she said finally. But please, let me do something. What about Tommy's education? A college fund? Marcus was quiet, his jaw working as he considered. Finally, he shook his head. We'll figure that out when the time comes. But I thank you for the thought. Victoria felt something she rarely experienced, genuine admiration. She looked around at the modest house, the well-worn truck, the simple life this man had built for himself and his son. She saw something money couldn't buy: contentment, purpose, integrity. You're a rare man, Marcus Hayes, she said softly. I'm just a regular man trying to raise a good son. That's what makes you rare. Victoria pulled a business card from her purse and pressed it into his hand. If you ever need anything at all, please call me. And I mean that. You gave me my life back. The least I can do is be there if you need a friend. Marcus looked at the card, then at her face. He saw genuine warmth there, not obligation or pity. I'll keep that in mind. As Victoria and her team drove away, Tommy stood beside his father. Dad, that was a lot of money. It was, son. Why didn't you take it? Marcus knelt down to his son's eye level, placing his hands on Tommy's shoulders. Because some things in life are more valuable than money. Self-respect, integrity, teaching you the right lessons. If I had taken that money, what would I be teaching you? That we only help people if we get paid for it. But we could have bought so much stuff. We could have. But would it make us happier? Would it make us better people? Marcus smiled. The richest man isn't the one with the most money, Tommy. It's the one who doesn't need it to be happy. Tommy thought about this for a long moment, then hugged his father tightly. I think I understand, Dad. You will, son. Someday you'll face a choice like this, and you'll know in your heart what's right. 6 months later, Marcus was in the hospital waiting room, his head in his hands. Tommy sat beside him, unusually quiet. The doctors had found a tumor during Marcus's routine checkup. They needed surgery, but Marcus's insurance wouldn't cover it all. The bills would be catastrophic. He had always managed before, always found a way, but this time, the numbers were too big, the walls too high. Tommy tugged on his sleeve. Dad, what about that lady, the one with the card? Marcus looked at his son's hopeful face. He had kept Victoria's card in his wallet, though he had never planned to use it. Pride was a powerful thing. But this wasn't about pride anymore. This was about being there for Tommy, about not leaving his son alone in this world. With trembling hands, Marcus pulled out the card and called the number. Victoria answered on the second ring. Marcus Hayes. I was wondering if I'd ever hear from you. I need help, he said simply, the hardest words he had ever spoken. Tell me everything. 2 days later, the hospital bills were paid in full. Victoria had made one phone call and it was done. But she did something more. She visited Marcus in his hospital room the day before his surgery. I've been thinking, she said, pulling a chair close to his bed. My company needs someone like you, someone with integrity, someone who understands what really matters. When you've recovered, I'd like to offer you a position. Head of our community outreach program. You'd help us give back, find the right causes, make a real difference. I don't have a college degree, Marcus said. You have something better. You have wisdom and a good heart. Those can't be taught in any classroom. Marcus closed his eyes. 6 months ago, he had refused her money because it felt wrong. Now, accepting her help felt like surrender. But Tommy's face flashed in his mind, and he realized this wasn't surrender. This was accepting grace, accepting that sometimes we all need help, that there's no shame in letting others lift us when we fall. "I'll think about it," he said. "That's all I ask." The surgery was successful. 3 months later, Marcus Hayes started his new position at Sterling Enterprises. He moved Tommy to a better school district but kept their modest house. They didn't need a mansion. They had each other. And now they had a chance at a future neither had dared dream of. Victoria and Marcus became unlikely friends. She learned from his groundedness, his perspective on what truly mattered. He learned from her vision, her ability to make big things happen. But the most important lesson had already been taught on that mountain highway, that the greatest riches in life come not from what we take, but from what we give freely, expecting nothing in return. Years later, when Tommy graduated from college, Marcus sat in the audience with Victoria beside him. As his son walked across that stage, diploma in hand, Marcus knew he had given him something more valuable than any inheritance. He had shown him how to be a good man. And sometimes, when you do the right thing just because it's right, the universe finds a way to give back what you need, exactly when you need it most. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it today, and subscribe for more stories that remind us of the goodness still in this world. Drop a comment below and tell me about a time someone's kindness changed your life. I read every single one.